Hello, welcome back to Live Noding. The other day I was experimenting with this idea, like generating something that's kind of looping and also kind of twisting. And you can see here also at the same time, the UV is kind of spinning. And is this something that's easy or possible to create without all kind of complexity? It is possible, and I'm using Sphere add-on, and there's already nodes that does this quite easily. On top of that, I'm also using Blender Curve UV auto generator in order for this to happen. In here, there's a glitch. Somehow, I don't know why, but I was actually exporting out the Alembic that does this twisting. But anyhow, let's see if I can kind of get around that glitch. So we go to compositing, Sphere add-on, and save this very quickly. Twisting, looping. And the answer is actually already there. So it's a torus node. So by default, torus node will generate something like this. Let's use polyline viewer, and this guy will generate that. Let's make the radius, increase the radius, and to make this perfect, let's also adjust the radius, interior and exterior, until we have something like that. You can adjust the radius until it's kind of fill up the whole space. So that's nice. It's almost like a snake twisting itself. For now, let's keep it like this. And let's close the curve. If you want, you can also use B-spline, so it's a lot smoother. For now, just I think this is good. And let's save this again. And now with the animations, how do you go around this? So there is actually option like a revolution phase. So that's rotating this guy that way. There's also spin phase. That's the one we like. So now we can see the wireframe. So revolution, spin is good, and there's also twisting. Twisting also is very useful if you want to twist the UV. So let's do this one by one. In order for this to be exportable, we also want it, instead of a curve with a UV texture, we also want it to be a polygon. So object ID out, so you can have, this is the curve, and we also want to have a polygon. This guy can be moved slightly to the side, so this guy can have wireframe. Okay, so save again. So now it's a matter of animating and rotating it, so it's kind of looping, twisting non-stop. Let's try with the spin. Okay, the spin is really already quite nice. If I just plug in like a frame info into the spin, so that's my first guess. It should be spinning really fast if you keep it at 1. 0.1 kind of makes sense, but let's say I want to have this looping like perfectly. Let's make it 100 frame. You can adjust this until it's kind of perfect, like you can offset it, whatever. but the spin actually is interesting. So it's not from 0 to 1. What I mean, if I'm using evaluate, it's gonna spin between 0 and 1, but you can see it's not looping because you need a pi. So you need to have this guy right here, not phi but pi, and the pi should actually give it like a perfect looping because the spin should do that, but the pi needs to be between 0 and 2 pi because that's the full circle, I think. So math multiplied by 2. So now it's perfectly looping, but just the last frame should be the same as the first frame. So you want to end it maybe at 99. Anyhow, this is like a perfect looping. If I'm not wrong, this guy also, you know, I think revolutions can stay as it is. So at any time we can still control the radius, right? So that's kind of nice. I really like this. So this is like a perfectly looping, and also if you want the UV to loop also like this example, this is slightly more advanced, and that there's a text that's actually based on the checkerboard. So you need to use cycles, and you need to transfer the UV because there's one thing with Sverchok, whatever you generated in Sverchok will not have the UV. So you need to transfer the UV from this guy. So if I duplicate this and then convert it to mesh, this guy should have UV, and this UV should be transferred back into this guy. My suggestion is to first export this guy as Alembic, so it's a lot easier. Let's force export the Alembic first of all. I'll use displays and then strings to 0, file, export Alembic, selected object only, export it out. Sometimes Alembic okay, errors occur during export. Look in the console. Okay. Sometimes giving weird error. Anyway, it should work. I tried it yesterday. It's twisting and looping. So we got this, right? So twisting and looping. I think this actually makes quite a nice logo, and yeah, I think I can call it. This can be a new Sverchok logo. I don't know. Anyhow, yeah, once you get this guy will not have UV. You can transfer the UV into this guy, and it's gonna do the twisting and looping. On top of that, cycles render. You can simply use a checker and then use some kind of texture coordinate. Of course, the UV is better generated, maybe should work, and render it out. It should be based on the UV, but it doesn't have the UV. You need to export it, and the UV will actually kind of go around and follows the mesh topology. So yeah, and that way you can create something that I just showed you earlier, twisting and looping, and also kind of goes around itself. You can use this idea to create some kind of a, like a snakes kind of twisting around each other. It's kind of nice. Anyhow, so there we go. There's another look at twisting, looping. I really like this kind of setup. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.